Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to, excuse me. We'll be getting started shortly. We're having some audio difficulties which broadcast to the internet and to Calisa Radio, so bear with us a moment.
Councilor Didi Valdez, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Councilor Valdez, are you there?
Can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. This is Councilor Valdez.
This is Kelly Kofer with the Retail Coach. I can hear you.
She's saying she can hear us.
One more time.
This is Councilor Valdez. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
All right, we got it.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience this evening. It is 6:04. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Would you all please turn off your audios on your computers? There's a lot of backfeed going on. We all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to lead us in prayer this evening. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many gifts that you provide this family. Thank you for the wonderful ability to enjoy this town, to enjoy our access to water, outdoors and such. Protect our families. Protect our families from those who mean to do us harm, Lord, that are always trying to hurt us, devil. Especially for our friends that have been victims of serious situations that have occurred last month in Albuquerque. We're so grateful for the justice that hopefully was delivered this afternoon. We're hopeful that you can continue to guide us, enlighten us, and enrich every member of this governing body to do the right thing for this city. May the Holy Spirit always intercede on our behalf to God the Father to do your will in this community, Lord. Want to also recognize the passing this evening. We had last week, we recognized the passing of our Mr. Muhammad Hussein. Want to also recognize the passing of former city employee, Mr. Frank Lucero.
Just go to the links that what's your name sent you.
And this humbly ask, Lord, amen. Amen. Good evening, members of the governing body, members of the public. Thank you for joining us this evening. Ms. LaRue, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez. Honor to you as well. Counselor Dennis Tim Salazar,
Present.
Counselor Justin Salazar Perez,
Present.
Counselor Manuel Martinez,
Present.
Counselor Denise Benavides, present. Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
Present.
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
Present.
Counselor Nanette Rodriguez. Present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. LaRue. Members of the governing body, you have the agenda before you. Tonight is a regular city council meeting.
Second.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented, Mayor Pro Tem Peggy C. Martinez, second by Councilor Justin Salazar Torres. Any discussion? Under discussion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Under discussion on the executive sessions that are advertised. Are we going into executive session before that item, or how are we making this?
According to the attorney and legal counsel, which I don't know if Mr. Van Fleck is online, we can go into executive session immediately before the appointment.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Yossi, did you have was there an issue you indicated to me?
No, it's fixed on this one, on the one online, it's backwards, but on this one, on this agenda, it's correct, the adjournment at the end.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion?
No further discussion.
All right, but no further discussion. Ms. LaRue, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Counselor Dennis Tim Salazar,
For the motion.
Counselor Justin Perez,
In favor.
Counselor Manuel Martinez,
For the motion.
Counselor Denise Benavides,
For the motion.
Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
For the motion.
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
In favor.
Counselor Nanette Rodriguez. For the motion. Motion carries.
Thank you. Ms. LaRue, anyone under public comment this evening?
We have Rita. If you can come up to the table, please.
You would come up to the podium, ma'am, and state your name and your residence, not your physical address, just if you live in Espanola, Chimayo, such for the record.
Okay, well, my name is Rita.
Can you please have a seat and then make sure that the light is on at the mic?
Okay. Okay, my name is Rita, and my concern is, I live here on Cayo Leandro, and the area I'm talking about is that, that certain area there consistently has water leaks, especially right there where I have, right at my house, in front of my house in between. So anyways, between me and my neighbor, it constantly continues to leak. And today, you had some workers there who did, the best that they could, and I appreciate their work. But to me, it's what you call a Band-Aid. Why? Because it's going to leak again. And so my concern is, why is it that, I mean, again, it just continues. This is not the first time. In one summer, we had, about 2 summers ago, there was 2 or 3 leakages in the same spot. And then they fixed it, and then again, it happened again. So today I was told that what it was, it's a hose underneath the ground, and it had, like how you use your hose to water, and it had leaks, holes in it, and it shut up, onto the pavement, right? So I'm just asking, why is it that the city does not find it reasonable to hire licensed professional plumbers? Just make it one, whatever they have to do, but make it one trip and let it be at that, so that it doesn't keep happening over and over. And that's my concern.
Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome. Do I get up?
We'll talk to the manager about that, if you don't mind leaving your contact information.
Yeah, I did. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Ms. LaRue?
Stephen?
Okay. It's either gonna be short and fast. 30 days ago, I was here and I addressed all of you guys regarding situations regarding homelessness, stuff like that. There's a young lady here, speaking about developments, speaking about having movies filmed in the city of Espanola, talking about budget, talking about how they're bringing income into the city of Espanola. Every single one of you guys up here, we're all excited about the income. We're all excited Espanola is getting so much money. All of you guys are happy. I'm not against it. That's awesome that the city is interested in getting funds, getting revenue, getting grocery tax, getting something to upbeat the city. Now that the chief of police is here, I would like to see if the city of Espanola has legal binding contracts with every single private owner in the city of Espanola, business-wise. I've gone throughout the United States of America, doing everything from cop watching to corruption to investigation to small towns to big towns, everything. Out of the 50 states that I've done, 12 of them have this thing that's called the legal binding contract with business owners and law enforcement. What this contract is, if the police are patrolling and they see homelessness or whatever the case causing problems or whatever, like I said the last time, I'm not against homelessness, I'm against the violent crime that's homeless. You know, like I stated, there's a young lady and her child got abused at Walmart because they want to give them money. My thing is, has the city ever done that? Have you guys talked to the attorney? Have you guys brought that up? Do you guys aware of that or not aware of that? Are you guys willing to fix the issue? Or sweep the issue under the rug and say, it happens out in the United States, so we can't do anything about it. I emailed this young gentleman a couple of weeks ago, didn't get anything back. He just became city manager about a month ago and got appointed to it when some other lady left. I understand you're new in the game and you're fresh, so you have a lot of criteria going on. I'm not blaming you, but maybe sometime in the next couple of days, I can sit down and meet with you if that's a possibility. Everybody says yes because they're fresh in the game, you know, but I just want to know if there's something that the city can do to do a legal binding contract with the business investment. You can't just shake the business owner's hand and say, look, we're gonna take care of your business. That doesn't work. You can get sued for that because you don't have that binding contract. They can sit in a parking lot at Walmart for as long as you want. They can't be chased out and say, hey, I'm gonna trespass you because you can't be here. That's against the law. You can't do that without that binding contract. There's no loitering signs throughout the city of Espanola. I got to every single business. I haven't seen no loitering signs, no nothing. It's up to the business to put up these loitering signs. It's not up to the city. If it's public property and the city funds it or we fund it as citizens, then you have every right to put that up. But it's up to the business owners of that company to put up loitering. So that's all I have, and hopefully you guys can follow up on that. And money is good. Money is good. Green money is always good. That's how we pay our bills. But there's also other problems throughout the city that needs to get taken care of, not house developments. That half the city can't even afford to live in the Twilight Star. I have friends that live in a Twilight Star community where they have house developments. They're too expensive to bring them here to the valley. It's some other stuff. But if that's what you guys want to do, that's what you guys want to do. But that's all I care about is if you guys can figure out something regarding the crime that these homelessness bring in. I know there's confidentials that they don't touch because they're informants through the city and stuff like that. So that's it. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys' time.
Ms. LaRue?
No other public comment.
All right, thank you. Moving on, councilor comments. Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, sir. I just want to remind the public that the Espanola Valley Art Festival, the 37th Annual Art Festival, will be the last weekend of September 24th and 25th. If you are an artist and you have not received a packet yet in your email or mail, you can contact Verna Trujillo at 929-1533 and she will get that out to you. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Also on Saturday, we held our official poster contest. We had 5 entries and we do have a winner, but I cannot announce that yet. So sorry, Justin, and sorry, Peggy there, but I can't announce it yet. There will be an announcing of it later. But we do have a 37th annual Espanola Valley Art poster that will be made this coming year. So I do encourage any artists to please sign up. And I also encourage all of you to participate and attend the art festival. There'll be plenty of great artists and plenty of great entertainment as well. And we do have some sponsors, if it's okay if I'd like to mention those sponsors, and that is Century Bank. We also have the Enterprise Bank and Trust, and we have also Miss Liddy Martinez and my brother in crime over there, Mr. Rick, that are here, and also a PMI. We'd like to thank them for joining us as well as a sponsor. And as we get some more, I will be mentioning them more. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Enrollment is starting. College, Northern New Mexico College, they started their enrolling. I can't forget that for Verna. She'll kill me if I don't mention it. So they are starting enrollment. So all of you, if you're thinking of going to school, your children, it's time to get them enrolled in school. So now is the time. I believe this coming week, I believe it's on Thursday, they'll be having an orientation day or enrollment at the Northern. Also, you can still call them and they'll do it online. You can do it over the phone, however you want. They just want to get you back to school. So that's about it.
Councilor Justin said it's approved.
Thank you, sir. On that note, regarding students, I do want to ask everybody here in the valley and surrounding to keep our students in prayers as they return back to school. My 2 youngsters are going back to school, and here in about a week, in a couple of days, we take my oldest out to Texas A&M to college. So keep them all in your prayers. Got to keep these kids safe. And then a follow up regarding the issues that the crime that's happening in parking lots, etc. I know Councilor Peggy Sue, when I was the chair of public safety, we had done the initiative, the Please Help Don't Give signs. Do we know where those are at, if they've ever gotten put up? Things like that, because I know we passed it, it was a resolution. I think we had 6 signs or so, but I haven't seen them yet.
Thank you, Counselor.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
They were never ordered.
We have 3, I think.
There was only 2 I was told.
When I first started, I signed the purchase order.
Okay, so
They
they're reordered, okay. So we had the sample, I guess, for a while, and then I don't know what really went down with it, never getting put up. But it's still an initiative that definitely we want to continue with. More importantly, I'll yield the floor to Chief Garcia so he can talk a little bit about what the city has done with public safety and trying to connect to the business sector as far as the business meeting and the loitering that's happening on private property. So if you want to touch base on that, Chief.
Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, governing body. Like Mayor Pro Tem stated, we've had 2 meetings with what we've called the Espanola Business Coalition. During our last meeting, we had 18 attendees, and I've been getting constant calls. And with this program, we've talked about it before. It is a program that the police department started, but it is given to our business community. At our last meeting, what we decided was that we were going to put together unified signs, uniform signs for criminal trespassing that every business within the Espanola Business Coalition or within the city limits of Espanola would have the same sign, so that there's no muddying the waters, for the lack of a better word, so that each sign says the same thing and they're uniform. At this last meeting, we all agreed that the businesses would be willing to pay for these signs. And I've recently been in conversation with the city manager in that because all the businesses are so interested, we might be able to buy our own sign making machine through the funds that are provided by our business community. And that way we wouldn't have to order it and we'd keep everything within the community. So our next meeting is, I believe, August 13th. If anyone's interested in attending, we can send you that information. But we've had a very good response from our business community. It is surprising the people that showed up. We're hoping closer to 30 show up this next meeting. And what we do is we talk about crime that's occurring within our business community and how we're addressing it. And I can tell you that the information we're receiving, some of the cases that we've already started working on as a result of this, has already made some, I didn't expect to talk this evening, otherwise I would have brought you examples, but we are making an impact with our business community. And that committee is led by our stakeholders at Walgreen. They're chairing this committee. And again, as law enforcement, we're just there to get that information. This next meeting is going to have a PowerPoint presentation of some of the top property crime offenders within our city. So I'm going to be there, members of my staff to include detectives, and we're going to be able to take this information. The Attorney General's office has also been involved in this, and they're going to continue to come to these meetings. So I can tell you that we are making inroads with the business community, and we've had those sign-in sheets. And like I said, if any of you are wanting to attend, I'd be more than happy to send you the meeting dates via email.
Thank you, Chief. The other thing I had, I'm going to go ahead and yield now to Josh Archuleta so he can talk a little bit. He's a new interim director for E911. And would you please address the public, Mr. Archuleta, concerning the fixed telephone lines and things like that that have happened for E911 in our system?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor,
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Councilors, my name is Joshua Archuleta. I'm the interim director for the 911 Center. First, I need to apologize about my dress. I was covering shift today because we're short-handed. Excuse me. So I was sitting at a council for 12 hours. So I wear shorts because sometimes it gets kind of warm because I was not expecting to come to a city council meeting this afternoon. So I apologize. I normally would never show up in shorts, but I'd rather be here than not be here. So we had some issues the past month with our 911 lines. We had 6 out of our 7 911 lines that were down. They were not being answered. They were going to our backup in Los Alamos, and they processed every single one of our calls. We had, because of where we're located, the transmission line comes from Lumen, previously CenturyLink, and then it comes into Windstream. So it was a huge coordination effort between Lumen, Windstream, and then our vendor, which is Motorola. It took about a month. At the direction of the Mayor Pro Tem, we got hold of the PRC to get the ball moving even further because it was taking a little bit too long. But as of right now, all of our lines are back up and running. We did complete about a $500,000 upgrade to our system so that we could locate callers a lot better. And we're in the process of hiring and at an exponential rate. We went down from, we had 6 positions open and now we're down to 2. So training is a bit, but we're hoping to get back to our numbers post-COVID, and that way we could continue offering the service that we do.
Thank you, Mr. Archuleta. We wish you nothing but success running the E911. We know that you have a lot of experience, and we know that you're very capable, and that's why you've been assigned to interim, and hopefully you'll be applying for the job so that we can continue with your leadership or with somebody there that can do the job for us. Other than that, just please stay in touch with this organization, with the council and stuff, briefing us on a regular basis. I know that councilors have received complaints that we had never received before, and I think these are all things that we can all work together to solve. And I know that now that our lines are fixed, that's a majority of the issue with not getting an answer, a delayed response. So we just thank you for the job that you're doing, and thank your staff. You know, E911 operators are the unsung heroes in the public safety department. People never get to see their face. They never even know who they're talking to when they dial that. But for sure, when you dial 911, you're absolutely assured that somebody that cares about your safety and well-being is going to be on the other end. And we thank you and your staff for that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I only have one more issue I would like to discuss, Mayor, concerning the pavement of the Carnival project I saw some activity up there today, so can we get an update on that?
Can we have that for matters from the city manager?
Sure, no problem. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Counselor Rodriguez, and then we'll go to Counselor Salas.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see all those friendly faces out there. I just want to give some updates in our wonderful community services department. There is a free back to school party at the Ranchitos pool on August 12th from 1 to 4. We also have a mini Olympics. It's happening on August 13th at the high school, ages 6 to 12 years old. And we have a national coloring at the library, as well as the exotics of the rainforest at the library. Thank you.
Counselor Dennis Tim Salazar.
Thank you, Mayor. Would just like to wish all of our students within the area very safe time going back to school. Very, great school year upcoming. And another thing is it's very sad that we all have to be cautious and aware of our surroundings, but it is a must. It is very crucial that we all be aware of our surroundings. If people look suspicious, just be sure to take an extra look at them, just description of them, what they look like, and tell other people to call 911 if you need to. Again, this is all in light of things that have happened nationally, especially in Texas at the end of this last school year. I know our chief Garcia has been in touch with the school districts and starting looking to plans of action for just in case. But again, let's all pray that none of this happens and it's a very safe and a very successful school year. Added to that, I would like to state just please everybody watch your speed. Encourage others just to watch your speed, especially around the school zones as kids are going to school. Looking at McCurdy Road, Coronado Street, going up Industrial Park Road up to the high school, constantly seeing speeders, constantly seeing people that are running stop signs and so on. So it's just very important just to take a little bit extra caution, a few extra seconds just to ensure that everybody gets there safely and everybody goes home safely as well. So I just like to send out a reminder. School's upon us. I don't know where the summer went, but yeah, schools are right about to start. So I just like to add that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else?
I missed something.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Sorry, there's a back to school carnival here at Valdez Park on August 13th from 3 to 7 o'clock.
What time is the mini Olympics?
I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
No further comments? I'm going to move on to matters from the mayor. I just wanted to give you all an update. I have nominated Miss Debbie J. Garcia to serve as city clerk. She will serve until her nomination can be reviewed by the governing body on the 23rd. We were unable to get her on this evening's agenda. Also want to introduce our new finance director, Ms. Paula Escudero. She brings many years of experience in the private financial industry and with the state. You want to come up real quick, Ms. Paula, and possibly say hello?
Good evening. It's an honor to be
Well,
here.
if you don't mind coming to the
Oh,
mic
yes.
so you can be-
The hot seat.
Good evening, councilors, Mayor, Pro Tem Mayor. Thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity to be in this beautiful little town. I'm from Santa Fe, so I grew up very close to this area. But I also have lots of friends and people in this area. So thank you. I hope to do a really good job here. Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor.
Welcome.
You're welcome, Paula. On July 25th, we visited with Twilight Home Development regarding the potential ability of bringing some housing development to the city. Lou Baker, Mohammed Hussein and I traveled to view their model home development. They're really excited. They're looking already now at purchasing some property within the city. On August 1st, Mr. Jordan Yetzi and I traveled to meet with Lucia Sanchez from River County, Michael Hastings from Hammond Electric Co-op to discuss common issues and partnerships between our entities. And then Jordan met with Superintendent of Schools Holly Martinez from Espanola to talk about some school safety plans and initiatives and other partnerships that we can do with the schools. And then this Thursday, Mr. Yetzi and I will meet with Santa Fe County Manager Greg Schaefer to pretty much start the ball rolling on getting Santa Fe County to become a stronger, viable partner for the city of Espanola. So we're excited about that. It's really important that the manager and myself at least are really out there trying to get these partnerships and connections with our exterior entities. We've created a good relationship with Wingate Pueblo. I'm hoping for the same at Santa Clara, hopefully sooner rather than later. We met with a private contractor called the Retail Coach about assisting us with retail development in our city, which you'll hear about later on the agenda. Mr. Yetzi and I also attended a regional correctional facility meeting with representatives from the county and Wingate Pueblo regarding the feasibility of moving towards that as well. Yesterday, Mr. Yetzi, Chief Garcia, Legal Counsel Charles Rennick, and myself met about reviewing state statute and bringing back an ordinance regarding soliciting peddling in the municipal limits. The last one we had was repealed in 2020. We don't know why it was repealed. We're trying to go back and see. We're going to do some additions to that as well. We're going to be working on bringing a draft before Public Safety Committee. But again, it's taking a lot of fine tooth and comb and regarding 10th Circuit. And I want everyone to know that it's constantly developing in regards to these situations. Legal counsel constantly has a new opinion as it goes to the legal system. We'll be forming an ad hoc committee soon regarding discussion of reviewing other financial opportunities to strengthen operations for our police and fire departments. And this is with different funding sources and revenue avenues, and we're going to be inviting citizens to participate in this discussion as well. I've begun preliminary discussion about historic preservation and local economic development retail ordinances for our city, and we're researching various communities about implementing this. I've also directed the city manager to begin reviewing surplus property we have throughout the city and the feasibility of liquidating some properties we have within the city. And more specifically, a citizen/council committee will need to be created to identify a future for the Prince and Carter ranches, which I see Liddy's probably excited about. The historic Prince house continues to deteriorate and the Carter house is majorly beyond repair, and it's continuing to become a major issue for the residents in that area, and it's city property and it's not being a good neighbor. And finally, we understand weed maintenance an issue throughout the city, so the manager is working on creating a routine maintenance plan throughout the city to handle this, which may also include spraying various areas throughout the city. And we'll also be planning a legislative night for our legislative delegation to hear our requests for ICIP, possibly in mid to late September. And I've directed the manager to review with the budget if we can obtain a professional lobbyist for the 2023 legislative session as well. I'll stand for any discussion or comments about my report, but we've been pretty busy here at the city the whole month of July, and I apologize I was unable to attend last meeting. Alrighty, folks, with no further comment from me on my matters, turn it over matters from the city manager, Mr. Jordan Yetzi.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Coronado Street, I believe is the name of it. They were removing the field today. The paver's supposed to be there tomorrow. They have been instructed that they need to be done before school starts on Monday. If they are not, then they're going to be required to work on weekends at their expense. This has gone on too long. It should have already been paid and ready to go. The Lucerna pool is pretty much complete. They had some final cleanup work to do. They were filling it up. Have not found any additional problems. So hopefully that one will be open in the near future. Weed spraying, street department has fixed their portable sprayer. So we will start to see them actually out spraying. We have to let it quit raining every day in order for it to really work, but they will start spraying. I have instructed him to actually put dye into the spray so that way y'all will be able to see where they have sprayed. It'll be a nice little start off as a dark blue. They'll fade into nothing, but y'all will be able to see exactly where they've been spraying. I have been meeting with all the different departments today. I spent about 2 hours with the courts. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks, I will come to y'all with some ideas that I want to implement and see what we can do to make some changes. After the last workshop last week, got the direction from y'all where we want to go. So staff and I have been figuring out how to make all of y'all's visions come true. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Yahtzee. Moving on, business with visitors, Roadrunner Food Bank, Miss Susan Rudolph and Sandy Quintana. You can pull up an additional chair from the audience too. Oh, Sandy, come and sit down.
And I really don't.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilors. My name is Susan Rudolph Quintana, and Cindy is my sister-in-law, so Cindy Quintana. I'm here tonight representing an organization called Neighbor to Neighbor, which raises funds for the Food Depot, which serves the 9 northern counties of New Mexico, starts in Santa Fe, goes to Rio Arriba, goes to Taos, and goes all the way to the border. So it's a large geographic area, which includes Colfax, Harding, Los Alamos, Mora, Rio Arriba, San Miguel, Santa Fe, Taos, and Union counties. Since I'm a past history teacher, I'll start with the history of this little group. Sorry. 12 years ago, a woman named Linda Flatt, who was and still is a Santa Fe citizen, decided to invite her neighbors in a middle-class neighborhood to bring canned goods to her house and then give those canned goods to the Food Depot to take care of their neighbors. Linda is a very go-getter, and she took that idea, and 11 years later, this group, Neighbors to Neighbors, is still raising funds for their neighbors. Last year, $215,000 was raised for 1 million pounds of food. So just so you know, I then became involved because I'm one of those people who reads papers, and I saw they were looking for neighborhoods, and I signed my neighborhood up in a Rosetta. So I got all of them to do it, and I don't know, they must have seen that I was right to do something when I retired. So the women and men who organized that then asked me to be on the committee, and this is my 2nd year. While we started with being able to bring cans and funds, we had to move to a fund drive when the pandemic hit. We just they couldn't take cans any longer of food. So to be honest, taking money is a much more financially smart way to do business. The Food Depot can buy a lot of food for very little money, and they buy the right things. So just for informational purposes, 1 in 3 children in New Mexico is food insecure. 1 in 7 adults is food insecure, which brings us, and Rio Arriba County may be a little bit worse, but that brings us to 15.3% of a total population that is food insecure, and 24% of children. The Food Depot from January to June of this year served 22,000 people in need. So let's talk specifically about Rio Arriba County. They do not break it down just for Espanola, but they do break it down for Rio Arriba County. There are 10 public food distributions available each month in Rio Arriba County. This includes 9 in Rio Arriba County, 2 in northern Santa Fe County. The Food Depot has already begun expanding the Food for Kids program, and Carlos Vigil Middle School and Espanola High School are beneficiaries of that program. And what they do is they bring food in Wednesday or Thursday, and it is distributed on Friday so that kids have food over the weekend, which is one of the biggest times of food insecurity for kids who have parents who cannot provide food. They also take care of, they're going to be adding a Carolingue and They also take care of the Milwaukee schools. In the fall of 2022, which is around the corner, the Food Depot will open a choice-based grocery store called Casita de Comida. And this is the first phase of a pilot program for Espanola. And if you don't know where it'll be located, my understanding is by the Goodwill store. It will be there. It will take a 2-year rollout, and it is one of the only in the country that is happening. So it's something I don't want to say we want to be proud of, but I think Espanola should be proud that they will be something to be modeled after. There are other organizations in Rio Grande County that the Food Depot partners with, but that information is not allowed to be given out. And there are places that are likely, which will most likely be small towns. The Food Depot has a large blue, have you all seen it? I don't know, it's a blue school bus that they have changed over so they can deliver food. And they are going to be bringing in vans called the Food Mobile Dos, and that'll be launching in 2023. And that's so they can reach out to small communities that have fewer people, but they can reach those communities. Rural communities are one of our biggest hunger areas in this state. The Food Depot also offers fresh produce, meat, which is a really big item, staple foods, diapers, dog food. And the dog food, I think this is interesting. The dog food began because they started going especially out to rural communities, and people told them they were going hungry because they needed to feed their pets instead of themselves. Okay. Every dollar raised by the Food Depot it's 5 pounds of food or 4 meals. And so tonight, I'll now turn it over to what you guys can do.
So what we're asking is that the city of Espanola either ask their employees to donate, or maybe the council would like to donate money. And what you would do is you would register online, and the donation would go directly to the Food Depot. No one else touches the money, everything goes directly to them. So we're hoping that the city of Espanola will be one of the sponsors and help donate or help us raise money.
Councilor Justin Salazar Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. The website is?
It's the Food Depot, and you can go under neighbor to neighbor. My former student over here I'll give her my phone number or my email, and she can give it to you guys if you need help. I'm more than happy to drive, meet you, sign you up, and take care of that if you want. And if you can raise $50, your name will be in a big ad we do in Santa Fe, New Mexican. I think it's something to be proud of to see your name. We are trying to sign up all the local schools also so that they can also show their support. My book club does it. You can sign up about any group, a little group you would like.
And then a follow-up, please. Have you all thought about formula, or do you guys help with formula for infants? I know there was a shortage, and I know there's a lot of people that need a formula, so.
Yeah, they do have a formula program. I don't know a ton about it. We don't work, I need to say, we are not employees of the Food Depot at all. We are just really people who are trying to take care of our neighbors. And, but they do have a formula program, and we probably would need to call directly to the Food Depot and see how we can take care of that. The Santa Fe operation is very different from when they come out here and do these rural areas.
Perfect, thank you.
Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is a great program. Do you work with local growers, both with our garden people that have the gardens, and of course with the fruit and orchards? Do you work with the local people, I should say?
I think the Food Depot does. I do not want to go on record because I am not for sure, but I do think they do some work taking in that food, but I'm not sure how that all works. I can find out for you or have someone from the Food Depot contact you and take care of that.
Thank you.
Councilor Denise Benavides.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, ladies, for what you do. I just wanted to encourage everyone to come out. I work with the Food Depot twice a month. Once a month was not enough. We had to go to twice a month. And the sad thing is that I continually see more and more seniors, and the lines are long. And it's sad to see our seniors out there waiting in line for food. We also deliver to several seniors who are unable to make their way there. So I'd like to see a program put together I've talked to Councilor Dennis Tim about working together with the RDT to put some kind of a program for seniors together to officially deliver. But Councilor Manny Martinez brought up something that I was going to bring up as well, and that I'd like to see a program put together where our grocery stores work together with our farmers. And it's something that I've looked into, and it's worked really well in other communities. The produce that the farmers have is sold at the grocery stores. Anything that's left over is taken to a food depot or a food pantry to be distributed. Those of you who aren't aware or haven't worked with the food depot, you're correct. What they give out is absolutely amazing. When I first started working together with them, I was amazed at what they give out. The way the program runs and the way it works is amazing, but I really would like to see us do something to take care of our seniors in addition to our children, because it's very important that we do that. Thank you.
Councilor Dennis, Tim Salazar.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just want to thank you all for what you do and for promoting this as well. I'm probably speaking to the choir, as you know all too well, that many, just like Councilor Benavides stated, too many senior citizens, adults in general, children, go without food. Sometimes many of our seniors and adults are too proud to say anything. So they go out and they act like normal, like nothing's wrong, or they do, as you stated, sacrifice for their children so their children could eat, or for their animals as well. And that's something that throughout the entire state, it's just like, it's amazing. We think it's bad, it's worse than that. It really is, honestly. I have seen this, and it's a very tough situation. So just, thank you again for being able to promote this and continuing to promote this as well, because it's just something to ensure that our seniors and adults in general and our children are all fed. And then especially coming to children and senior citizens, back to the required dietary intake as well, not even getting that, because of course they're not able to eat the way they need to. So again, just keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate it.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Just want to thank you coming before us and giving us an overview of the program. And also wondering, do you know if the food depot takes volunteers? Do you have, what are the qualifications for that? Could we go to the website and see something there?
Yeah, I would say that they have, I think they have 2,000 volunteers, and they're all put to work. I don't know how many of you have ever visited the feed depot before. First time I walked in there for the Neighbor to Neighbor program, just to be at the award ceremony at the end. I was amazed. I just remember walking into a room with potatoes half as high as me, and boxes of them. And I was just amazed that they could have that much food in need. But yes, you can volunteer. It's on the website, and they'll do training for you. There's people who just sack boxes. Some people just put things. You name it, you can do it there.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you too.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Quintana. Thank you, Ms. Quintana, for your presentation, and thank you for your kind heart to reach out to those less fortunate than us. Definitely, this is something that touches my heart, and I really believe that every single person on this council feels the same way. So I'm interested in knowing if the council and the mayor are interested in doing a fundraiser, a freedom pie dinner for this. And it says here on the sheet that every dollar raised by the food depot buys 5 pounds of food or 4 meals. So if each of us could sell 20 to 25 tickets, that's over $1,000 that we could raise just in one freedom pie meal. So I'm interested in getting that together for you guys, and we'll be in touch with you and make sure that we bring you along so that we can do this. And I'm going to ask Councilor Nanette Rodriguez from community to sort of spearhead, and I'll help you with it and see if we can get this together like within the next month or so, sometime during the week, maybe on a Wednesday evening when people are getting crazy trying to feed their kids and everything. They might be interested in taking a break from the kitchen. So let's do that, do a little fundraiser for you guys and see where that leads us. Okay.
Okay, now I do need to just give one caveat. The neighbor to neighbor program will end September 17th, so we'll need to push that ahead as quickly as we can. I'm not trying to be rude. No pressure. But that way we can get you in, I don't want to say into the competition, but you can get your name in the paper, because I think it's something we should all be proud of, that the work we do here in the valley.
Espanola never gets credit for what Espanola really does. And I think it's about time Espanola starts getting that credit.
I know that we live in a community that's very caring about people in general and very caring about those that are less fortunate. So I just see like having a one night thing could probably blow up. So I'm really excited about this, and let's see if we can make a difference.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
I want to thank Mrs. Quintanas for joining us this evening. And I want to have Mr. Yutzi, you can set up a meeting with Mr. Yutzi as soon as possible to see what we can do to help you from the city end. I really like the fundraiser idea. Cindy, how about you cook the chili like you do for some of my fiesta fundraisers? Mama Zinni never lets me down with my chili.
Donate it.
I think that's a great idea and initiative. We have serious issues with hunger in our valley, and so what better way to give back? Fundraising idea is a great opportunity. Having a nice dinner at the senior center on a Wednesday night helps a good cause and gives people an opportunity to get out and enjoy themselves. And it's not too cold yet, so I really would like us to start this initiative. Councilor Rodriguez, Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Yutzi, Ms. Quintanas, let's get the ball rolling on this. But I'm excited about this.
Thank you. Maybe Mr. Martinez could provide entertainment.
Yeah. That'll be a good night. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Quintanas. And I want to apologize. I didn't recognize some members of the audience that are here tonight. Judge Madrid, he's there in the audience. County Commissioner Tini Bustos. MS Co-op Trustee, Mr. Manuel Bustos as well. Thank you for joining us this evening. Where's Brandon? Oh, he's behind the camera, I'm sorry. School board member and Commissioner-elect Mr. Brandon Bustos as well. Members of the governing body, we're going to move on to items proposed for council consideration, discussion items, action items. Appointment of Fire Chief Johnny Martinez.
Before we do that, Mayor, a motion to go into executive session first.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I'll read it pursuant to the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, section 10-15-1, H subsection 2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, specifically so that the mayor and the governing body may discuss limited personnel matters pertaining to the hiring of the fire chief.
And motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez, second by Councilor Justin Salazar Torres. Under discussion? No discussion. Ms. Leroy, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez.
In favor.
Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
For the motion.
Councilor Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor.
Councilor Manuel Martinez.
In favor.
Councilor Denise Benavides. In favor. Councilor Dorothy Judy Valdez.
For the motion.
Councilor Aaron Salazar.
In favor.
Councilor Nanette Rodriguez. Motion carries.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be going into executive session. We shouldn't be too long, and we'll come back into regular session as soon as we've completed.
I'm going to show you what's funny. We have the paper right here.
Clusterfuck.
No, Counselor Valdez.
How's everybody doing? Awesome.
There, she's connected.
A little hungry.
Counselor Valdez, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Counselor Valdez?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to return to regular session. The time is 7:29. Can I get for the record, no action was taken in executive session. Can I get a
Motion to come out of executive session.
motion made by Counselor Justin Salazar Torres, second by Counselor Annette Rodriguez to exit out of executive session? Ms. LaRue, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez, in favor. Counselor Dennis Tim Salazar,
For the motion.
Counselor Justin Salazar Torres,
In favor.
Counselor Manuel Martinez,
For the motion?
Counselor Denise Benavides, in favor. Counselor Dorothy Didi Valdez,
For the motion.
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
In favor.
Counselor Nanette Rodriguez. Motion carries.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce my appointment of Fire Chief, Mr. Johnny Martinez. Mr. Johnny Martinez has been 17 years with the Espanola Fire Department as his associate's degree from Northern New Mexico College. He served as fire chief since April for many years. I think most of the community knows him from running Hunter Ford Company for 25 years. He was Mr. Seal Hunter's right-hand man. He helped establish the Awasana Volunteer Fire Department. And I believe that he is a great individual for this position. He has the caliber, the knowledge, the intellectual, and I believe the management knowledge to run that department.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez, second by Counselor Manny Martinez. Discussion. Mr. Martinez, would you like to come on up, Chief? For the council.
Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager, Government Body. During my time working with the fire department, I've gained experience managing and working with a diverse group of dedicated employees within the fire department. In November 2013, I was promoted to the position of lieutenant and held the position until being appointed interim fire chief in 2022. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I graduated from Northern in 1980 and 82. I have an associate degree in business admin. I also have an associate in computer science. And like the mayor was saying, I worked from 1984 to 2006 at the Hunter Motor Ford. I worked for CL Hunter. I worked for Joe Kazee, I worked for Rick Trujillo, and then I left when they opened up this position, and then this is where I came. When I first started working here, I said I would not get back into the management business because I was stressed and it was taking a toll on me. But then when positions opened up, I was pushed and asked by a lot of my fellow firefighters to apply for lieutenant, which I did. I believe, in my department that we have a heck of a department and everybody does their job greatly.
One of the biggest things that I can also say is I was a fire chief with Aguasana. And I myself was not only gonna say that I did it all by myself, because I had a lot of people help me, with Ron Karcher was the one that implemented it, started it. I have to give credit to a lot of people that were in my department back then, because we did bring up Aguasana from a 10 to an ISO 6. Josh Duran, who was here, was part of my team back then. So I'm also grateful for the opportunity to serve this administration, and will make every promise to you to do my very best to be a great public servant to our community. I will make sure that the fire department meets your goals and mission for this city. It is my intent to make sure to protect the city, its citizens, and provide a safe environment. This will be a team effort and will depend on our department and city staff to help us succeed. Again, I thank you for the opportunity and appreciate your confidence in my ability to serve as your fire chief. I also want to thank and extend my sincere appreciation to my family and friends who are here in support of accepting this important appointment, sir. Thank you.
Any discussion from the council? And being Ms. LaRue, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez.
In favor.
Counselor Dennis Tim Salazar.
For the motion.
Counselor Justin Salazar Torres.
I do have to state that during the last week when the agenda came out, I was approached by a few individuals regarding this matter. But for the record, I did tell them that I was unable to give them an answer in my decision because I would have to vote on it and I had to be fair. With that said, in favor of the motion.
Counselor Manuel Martinez.
In favor.
Counselor Denise Benavides.
Chief, thank you so much for being here tonight. I will tell you that I'm glad that you spoke just now and said a little bit about who you were and what you've done, because honestly, prior to that, I would not have voted yes. And I'll tell you why, because I felt it was unfair that I had no background information on you. There was no resume. We did not have the opportunity, unfortunately, to interview you as we did all the other candidates for all the other offices. And in order to do the right thing and the right thing for our community, I really feel as though we should have followed that process, and we did not. But in all fairness to you and to some of the discussions that we had, I am going to go ahead and vote yes tonight. So congratulations to you, sir.
Counselor Dorothy Didi Valdez.
For the motion.
Counselor Aaron Salazar.
In favor.
Counselor Nanette Rodriguez.
For the motion, congratulations.
Motion carries.
So switch spots. I, Johnny Martinez, having been appointed to the office of fire chief in the city of Espanola, state of New Mexico, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of New Mexico, and the ordinances of the city of Espanola. And I will, to the maximum of my capacity,
capacity,
defend, support, and pledge my loyalty to the citizens of Espanola, and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Be out of here soon. Congratulations again, Chief Martinez. Moving on in the agenda. We're going to move on to appointment of New Mexico Municipal League Annual Conference Voting Delegate Designation. The members from the city that are going to be attending the Municipal League Conference on the 31st or the 2nd in Albuquerque is going to be Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar, our new city manager, Mr. Jordan Yetzi, acting city clerk, Ms. Debbie Garcia, and myself will be attending. I'm submitting the appointment of myself to serve as the voting delegate, and Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar shall serve as the alternate voting delegate.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Justin Salazar Torres, second by Councilor Nanette Rodriguez. Any discussion? Ms. LaRue?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez. In favor. Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
For the motion.
Councilor Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor.
Councilor Manuel Martinez.
In favor?
Councilor Denise Benavides. In favor. Councilor Dorothy Didi Valdez.
Yes, for the motion.
Councilor Aaron Salazar.
In favor.
Councilor Nanette Rodriguez.
For the motion.
Motion carries.
Thank you all. Ms. Emma, there's a document that was sent and I'll send it to you tomorrow and then you'll attest it and just send it back to the league. Okay, moving on, action item number C, discuss approve a resolution 2022-22, adopting the 2024-2028 infrastructure capital improvement plan for the city of Espanola. Mr. Jordan Yetzi.
Yes, Mayor, y'all have the spreadsheet in front of you. We took all your information y'all gave us last week, made sure it was, it got emailed to you. Everything that y'all requested that we talked about at the last workshop is placed on there. She went ahead and put y'all's top capital ones as 1 through 5, but everything listed is on there, like I said in the past. The ranking doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference on it is it's on the list.
Motion to approve, sir.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez, second by Councilor Manny Martinez. Under discussion, Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
Thank you, sir. I thought everybody was here for the ICIP. I guess that was wrong. It's. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I wasn't. My head not here correctly, so.
Any other discussion?
Under discussion, Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I really believe that most of the items on this list are very critical to the well-being of our constituents and to improving our community. You know, I feel like it's very important also for us to consider a lobbyist or to consider some type of a schedule where the governing body can help management lobby for the needs of this community. I know the squeaky wheel has always got the oil, and I believe that the more noise you make, the better off you are over there at the legislature. So I look forward to seeing what gets funded. Also, please realize that there are paving projects on here that we should consider trying to make sure that they're shovel ready so that we can apply for funding for those projects, as well as other projects here. Looking for the most important is to have projects ready to go and engineered and shovel ready. So those are all things that are very critical to moving forward in the community. Thank you.
Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I agree with Councilor Martinez. We have to make sure that any project we're attempting to get money for, we need to make sure those projects are shovel ready. And more so that we complete the projects, that we don't just start them and then somewhere down the line decide to start another project and another project and another project, and they never get completed. So I think it's very important that we see a project from beginning to the end and get them done, even if it means just one project a year. Well, at least that's one project completed and off the list, and then we can move forward than to have 3 or 4 projects started and years to complete. So I look forward to starting to see some of this stuff getting completed, sir. And I thank you for the work that you did on it. Thank you.
Councilor Aaron Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Yatsi, for the time, for the time you took, the way you presented and asked us the questions and getting these in the order that you did. And I think it's a good step forward and getting all these projects done. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Ms. LaRue, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez.
In favor. In favor.
Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
For the motion.
Councilor Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor.
Councilor Emmanuel Martinez.
In favor.
Councilor Kennedy.
In favor.
For the motion,
Valdez.
for the motion,
Councilor Aaron Salazar.
In favor.
Councilor Nanette Rodriguez.
For the motion.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this, Mr. Yatsi. I want to echo the comments by Mayor Pro Tem. We did identify that there's possible money in the budget to look at a lobbyist. It's gonna be, he's gonna analyze it more and then put an RFP out and then bring it back before the council. But I want to go back to my matters from the mayor. We're hoping to have a legislative night. We're meeting with each of the legislators so far, talking about our ICIP. Now that we have something actually set in stone, we're going to discuss that with them, some of our projects. And we're going to be also now, I have a lot of legislative contacts, so we're going to look at other legislators outside of our area, but we're going to talk specifically with legislative night with our own legislative delegation. I'd like all of us there that night, probably at the Lucero Center, at the mayor's conference room, just a nice night. Mr. Yatsi came up with a great idea. We're trying to get also, he's brought good experience with a youth council. And he indicated the youth council was like one of the best champions for legislative projects and such. So we're gonna work on getting that initiated as well. And so we're gonna be really going full steam ahead from October on with legislative planning. It's a long session, so we have a lot of work to do, and we're willing to send the shuttle, whatever we need to do to get people there to lobby on our behalf for the city of Espanola. And maybe the county can help us with some projects too, Commissioner. We do too. Moving on, discuss approve resolution 2022-23 fourth quarter financial reports, financial year 2022, Mr. Jordan Lexi.
Yes, Mayor. Hopefully y'all don't ask me a whole bunch of questions on this. I always hate these reports. So the ones that are highlighted, operating general fund, when you have to go in and put in your investments into the state system, it's a lot of manipulation to sit there and get it to work. So that's one of the reasons highlighted. We were not under on revenue for expenditures, but it's how it gets put into their system that messes it up. Same way on water enterprise, it's the same thing. It's investments, different accounts. The negative on the state legislative appropriations project, more than likely that is a negative because we had not received reimbursement yet by the end of that quarter. And so that's why we're going to show a negative. But next quarter, we'll have more detail because we'll have a finance director that can sit there and answer every last question y'all have on this.
Yes, we do.
You have to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve, sir.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez, second by Councilor Rodriguez. Under discussion, Councilor Justin Salazar.
Under discussion, thank you, Mayor. I just got a question on if we can possibly please get some of these things hyperlinked instead of handed to us, the night of the meeting, so we can at least look them over and review these things prior to, because I did miss a meeting and now, I'm just reviewing this.
We're fixing to change the way y'all get packets and you're gonna get a lot more information.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And on this one, just bear with us on the finance department and our clerks department. They're all new, and the last employee is supposed to start on Monday, finally. It's taken a lot of work, so we had some growing pains, and we're hopefully moving forward that we'll have some solid ground moving forward.
I think it's also important, Mayor, that we get the information via email. That way we have an opportunity to study it, jot down questions. It's hard to get it here at the desk because it's a lot to look over, and our minds are on a lot of different things, especially when we have a full house like we did tonight. So yeah, I think it's important, and we look forward to a full packet, Mr. Yancey. Thank you.
Well, I do think you did get a packet for everything else.
Yeah.
The only thing you didn't was for this.
Because this was not actually completed until yesterday.
Yeah, this is the only thing that was not in the packet, just for the listening audience. This is the only thing that was not in the packet. They're sent to you in an email that comes out, and it's a hyperlink, and you click it. It goes out to everyone on Friday. On Friday.
Mayor, if I may, on the agenda, when you click on it, there's no hyperlinks, no nothing, sir. Even if you go to cityofespanola.org and go to the agenda, there's no hyperlinks.
Well, it's good to know, because I thought, what are we missing?
Yeah, same. I'm not getting anything. We get the link for, and actually the link is still doing the same thing about with the login and stuff
So
like.
if you click the link, just so we know, just because we don't want people thinking we don't put the agenda out, we do. You click the link that says Espanola Clerk, and then you click the top that says go to agenda, and then you go to docs, and you hit docs, and they're all there hyperlinked. The only document that was not in the packet was this document given this evening. Oh, and forgive me, and the one about the voting delegate resolution, I'm sorry, but I didn't know it was going to the conference until later today, so that wasn't complete on my part. Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, sir. Just asking a question on the lodger's tax.
will you be putting the lodgers tax board together for that?
So we've been in conflict in how we've given out money. We need 2 hotel industries. And we need someone that contributes to the local hotel. And we reached out to the 3 hotels and they're not interested.
So would we need to change
That state
that
statute.
state statute, so we can't do nothing about that? So does the money just sit there until we get people
The
that are?
governing body, my understanding, can utilize.
Yes, the governing body can override a board because essentially a board is an advisory board. It's a lodgers tax advisory board. They're advising y'all what they recommend the money in. So technically council can give the money out.
But is state statute require the hotel? Hoteler is what it's called, is required by state statute, but so you're saying we could do it through the governing body?
The governing body can do it because y'all are the final overseers of the taxpayer money.
Okay, so, because we've had a heck of a time, none of the hotels are interested.
So then if a nonprofit is asking for lodgers tax, they would have to make a request to city council?
It would probably, if you cannot fully seat the people on the board required, it would be best if they made the request to city council. Because you're enacting a board that does not meet the qualifications of the ordinance of state law and taking their recommendation to council. Since you can't convene them and get them into the legal standard, just come directly to council, because any recommendation made by the board needs to come to council anyways for approval.
So on that aspect, we also need to create a policy, because we don't have a policy.
Okay.
I'll look into doing that too. Oh, we haven't voted on this. Okay, any further discussion?
Just one more question.
Councilman,
On the revenue that's being made now from the film industry with rentals and all else that's going on, into what fund is that money going into?
General.
I'll defer to Mr. Yatsi.
We're gonna end up taking that and try to reinvest that money into the community with economic development.
And that will be covered next.
Yes.
And no, it's gonna be covered in the next agenda item, what some of that money's been going, what's would be earmarked for. Any other discussion? Ms. LaRue, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor.
Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar,
For the motion.
Councilor Justin Salazar Torres,
In favor.
Councilor Manuel Martinez,
For the motion?
Councilor Denise Benavides. In favor. Councilor Dorothy Didi Valdez,
For the motion?
Councilor Aaron Salazar,
In favor.
Councilor Nanette Rodriguez.
For the motion.
Motion carries.
Thank you all. Gonna move on, discuss approval of the retail coach contract not to exceed 37,500. Mr. Jordan Yatsi, and I think he's gonna get a presentation.
Yes, Mayor, we have Mr. Kelly Coffer with the retail coach. He is the CEO of the retail coach. He is going to give y'all a presentation here to answer any questions that y'all may have. I have worked with this company with 2 different cities. I have seen them do wonderful work, especially in cities our size, being able to attract retail, restaurants, everything in the community.
Discussion, sir?
No, we're gonna do a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
And then we're gonna open it up.
Mr. Coffer, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, if you could share the screen, I'll share the screen if you'll allow me. I believe as a host, you need to allow me to do this. There we go. Does everybody see this okay?
Yes.
Projected on the screen.
Sharing on the Zoom, just share that. There you go. Yay.
Are y'all able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I will take over.
Can you turn him up a little bit? Okay, Kelly, do you think you can come up to your mic a little bit? I'm sorry.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, a little bit.
I'll turn it up even more. Now that's about as high as I can go. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll speak a little higher. Look, I certainly appreciate you allowing us to present the retail coach to you tonight. Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor, staff, it's an opportunity to talk about one thing that you just were mentioning is economic development, and specifically retail economic development from our perspective. So tonight I have with me Caroline Harrelson. She is our retail recruitment specialist. She'll be joining me on this and talking about a few slides. But in 2022, retail centers around retail recruitment. I have been doing this for a number of different years. In fact, August of this year, I'm going into my 23rd year, and I've seen a lot of changes in the retailing industry since then. And certainly with COVID recently, we've seen even more changes in not just retailers and their expansion plans, but also in the types of development that these retailers are undertaking. We're seeing a move to developing, quick serve restaurants with more lanes, less touch, all of those things. We've been doing this a long time. We've worked in well over 650 communities in 40 to 41 states now. So we fully understand, what it takes to get the attention of a retailer. My background is in retail real estate. I worked a number of years out of the Dallas market for a national retailer doing site selection all across the country in markets just like yours. So I've sort of taken that experience and put it into the retail coach practice, where we're trying to fill a void where we had found that, municipalities, economic development organizations all did a good job at industrial or business recruitment, but didn't fully understand the dynamics of retail recruitment. So we filled that void roughly 23 years ago, and we look to be doing this for a while in the future. But what we do on behalf of our clients is we help identify retailers that fit your community. Caroline goes out and recruits them on your behalf, and then we work with you very closely, what we call our coaching period, to make sure that everything we do is successful. And the previous slide mentioned that we have a 90% rate of doing multiple projects in communities. So, just like Jordan said, it's really simple. We just do what we say we're going to do, and we're successful with it. As far as the project team goes, I'm involved in every project, and you'll see some of the slides that we're going to be talking about, some of the in-depth research that I've already done into the community. And Aaron Farmer, who could not be here tonight, and certainly Jordan has a relationship with Aaron, will be the project lead, and certainly Caroline will be very instrumental in this project. And from a data market research standpoint, Matthew Lautensack. So what we do, and really our approach, is around data. It's around identifying sites that we can market to retailers and developers, and then it's about recruitment. And we're going to go through those three phases right now. So we know the region. I grew up in Texas. We've done a lot of projects in West Texas, and certainly with my experience with the retailers are really slow to understand the rural customer. Andrews comes to mind, a project that I worked where we were really trying to get the attention of some retailers, and they want to continue to look at, well, how many people are in your city? How many people are in your county? But they're slow to realize that people will drive great distances to shop. in your community, for example, you have people from Taos driving south to shop there, and that's roughly 40 miles. So the rural consumer will shop greater distances because they have to. There's no other choice. And that's sort of our pitch and what we relay to the retailers that we recruit. In your specific market, and this is what we do routinely, is we will segment it in what we call submarkets. You've got the community of Espanola itself, and then you have what we call submarkets. Those are little small markets from within the major market. And you've got the eastern submarket where you've got the Lowe's, Walmart, Harbor Freight. It's where you have a lot of your national guys represented. And then you have really I could say a potential emerging western submarket. And you've got some destination users there. I mean, you've got the hospital. I've done a look and see where the patients are coming from in this expansive area. You've got the college that was mentioned a little bit earlier. You've got the municipal offices along 285. So that's a submarket that we feel like warrants a really close look, especially for something like quick serve restaurants. I know you have some locals along 285, but we feel like there's potential for some national brands along 285 as well. The first thing we do, and really what we call the foundation of our work, is we have to determine the retail trade area. And quite simply, that's quantifying how many people shop in your community on a daily basis. How far are they driving? I mentioned Taos is 41 miles, Santa Fe is 22 miles. You're in a valley. You've got a lot of topography, that you have to deal with. And, quite honestly, your trade area is going to be much further, obviously, to the north than it is to the south, just because the lack of shopping options to the north. So we do something called a cellular phone study in order to determine the trade area. So if you've got a cellular phone and you have opted into, location services, they always pop up and they say, hey, can we use your location, allow once or always allow? If you've done that on one of your applications, you're being tracked. And this technology that we have is able to determine, based on a specific location, if it be a hospital, if it be a casino hotel, or a retail or restaurant, where their customers are coming from. And this graphic represents the retail trade area for the Walmart Supercenter that's on Riverside. So, in an annual basis for the previous 12 months, there was 2 million visitors to that Walmart. It's an expansive retail trade area to the north. And of those visitors, they made 14.35 trips to that store in the previous 12 months. So why is that important to a retailer? It's important to know that those consumers are driving into that Walmart Supercenter to shop. And, the Lowe's will benefit from it, the Harbor Freight, the shoe department, every retailer that's around the Walmart Supercenter benefits, because you're bringing the consumers into the marketplace. I also looked, as I mentioned, at the hospital. I looked at the hotel casino, which has a really huge draw, much further to the south. A lot of people from Albuquerque come into the casino. So our goal is to position you when people are driving into the community, they're shopping into the community. So we go through this exercise to determine how many people live into the retail trade area. In looking at the hospital, they roughly say it's a 40-mile radius. And I believe the community college says the same thing. So we want to confirm with this cellular data, really beyond a shadow of a doubt, where your consumers are driving from. So what we do is we'll go and draw a boundary map around these concentrations of consumers, and we'll be able to tell you how many people are in that map. And it's probably going to be 70,000+ people if I were to speculate based on the level of retail you have in your market. And then what we can do once we have the trade area is we can determine for 70 categories what those consumers are spending their money on. So why is that important? Because you're probably losing retail sales to Santa Fe because you don't have anyone in your market that's filling that category, you know? So you may have heard of the term retail leakage or retail gap report. This is along those same lines where we can determine what dollars are leaving your community and going elsewhere to shop. And our job and our goal is to keep those dollars in your community. So the trade area, along with the consumer buying potential, is very important when we're getting the attention of a prospective retailer. So I mentioned data, and then I mentioned real estate sites. What we've got to do based on those 2 submarkets I mentioned, we've got to identify available real estate sites that we're actually going to present to the retailers, restaurants, and developers to try to get their interest in Espanola. So this is something that Caroline does routinely. We come up with these site profiles of every site. And what I wanted to kind of show you, and this is something that I think is really important for you. I've done a quick look at the retail base in the community. And you can see on the western submarket, I propose that we do what's called a land use analysis, where we go in that area that's shaded in gray. We look for every site that we feel like is marketable to a retailer or restaurant. That's really key in looking at properties, not as they are today, but what they can be. And, you know, and also looking along, you know, up along Fairview and Industrial Park Road at 285, there's a signalized intersection. So from a highest and best use standpoint, we look at the sites and go, okay, in the northeast quadrant there's 1.37 acres. I couldn't tell if that's a resident or whatever, but that is a highly marketable retail location. The same way in the southeast quadrant, just across Fairview Lane, there's two sites that could be assembled, 1.23 acres and 1.17. I could see a quick serve restaurant on each of those sites rather than what's there today. And again, you can also look at assembling properties and building a small service strip center or something along those lines. So I think this is kind of just an example of what we do when we do that land use analysis.
I agree. Kelly, and if I can say something for just a second, and I want to apologize because my internet connection has been a little unstable, so I may cut out. But when Kelly was looking at the western kind of submarket on that side of town, if you notice the hospital and the college, your restaurants and your quick service food is not really right around that area. We want to build that area up as well for the individuals that are coming into town just for those specific uses. And just to give you a personal story, because we use all this data, we use all this leakage analysis, we use all these different things to know what retailers we need to market what sites to. But then we also use our own just analysis and boots on the ground. So today I got a text from my parents. My mom had a routine procedure done last week. She had some complications, so they were going to the emergency room. I loaded up and I said I would meet them over there. And I get there and my mom's in the emergency room reading a book in her little observation bed. And I said, "Where's Dad?" And she said, "Well, he had to deal with me all morning and he drove me here." So he left and said he's going to get lunch. About an hour later, my dad came back. So I think he had a really good lunch, but all that to say your hospital is a driver, your college is a driver. So we want to make sure that we've got some quick service restaurants right around there. And when a restaurant says, well, they've already got Freddy's over there and they've already got a Starbucks, they've already got this, that, and the other, we can say, yes, but look at this area that is underserved. And we can speak just to our knowledge of markets and retail as well, because I'm a bit too much of a consumer, my husband would like to tell you.
Yeah, and the hospital has 80 plus beds, and it has all of the major specialties represented there, a huge draw, economic development draw for the city. And, you know, other than just a couple of, you know, sort of independent type businesses, I know there's a Blake's hamburger or whatever, you know, there's no national brands represented. And I think, you know, that there very well could be some duplication from, as Caroline alluded to, from Riverside over to 285. And that would be one of our focuses of our project. And again, just really looking at the market from a highest and best use standpoint and determining really not what's there today, but determining what could be there tomorrow. There's another site. It looked to me as if Chevrolet dealership closed, 4.49 acres, large enough that you could do something quite dramatic there. And again, getting the attention of not just of quick serve restaurants, but it could be a mixed use development. You know, it's just across from the medical center. So it could be restaurant, you know, retail / medical. So those are the type things that we look at and that we look at closely. And again, if we were looking over on Richmond, again, it has quite a bit of synergy right now, you know, roughly, you know, 25,000 cars a day on Riverside. But there are some parcels that are what we would call low hanging fruit that if the owners are willing to sell, they should be some retail use, restaurant use that's giving you property tax and giving you sales tax. So that's how we pretty much determine, you know, what the highest and best uses are. McDonald's, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I read in 2 places that it is the highest producing McDonald's in the state of New Mexico. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but regardless, there's a lot of focus here. Like I said, I've done the trade area we've looked at the trade area for Walmart and Lowe's. They're very similar. You've got a lot of consumers coming to this area today. And what we're going to try to do is to get them to drive over from Fairview over to 285. And again, build up that, what we would call the Western submarket. So once we have the data, once we have the real estate sides, then we have to sort of put our marketing hat on to really come up with, you know, the marketing pieces that we take to the real estate market. And again, that would be retailers, restaurants, and in your case, a big emphasis on real estate developers, because I noted that these are parcels that are available, but we're going to need a developer to do something on those properties. You don't have a lot of for lease space in the market, meaning if somebody wanted to come in there tomorrow, that they would move right into a space, but you were going to need an emphasis on developer recruitment as well as retail recruitment. So, you know, then the key is we've got to identify the retailers and developers that we feel like are a fit for your market. You know, it's got to be retailers that look at the population of your trade area, that look at the ethnicity breakdown that you have, that look at the incomes that you have. And quite honestly, you've got a great representation of national brands right now. And again, our job would be to use these successes that you have and build on them. You know, usually it's the opposite. When you get an Applebee's, you can get a Chili's. Well, you've got a Chili's. I don't think you have an Applebee's. So some of these successes that you already have will be used to get the attention of other retailers and restaurants. And again, this is, I'll let Caroline speak to this, but this is really a tool for accountability for us, you know, to you, because we want you to know in real time what we're doing for you. And this is a recruitment table that we use to keep you up to date on what we're doing. Caroline, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, certainly. So when we start working with the community, and not sure if we're going to go into detail on this on a slide, but we come up with a list through all the different avenues that Kelly already discussed to decide the best retailers that we want to target for your market. Maybe it's 15, maybe it's 25, maybe it's 35, whatever it is. And I'm going to be honest, that list is always evolving. But we come up with our initial target list based on who we think would do well in your market, and not just who we think would be a slam dunk to locate there, but who's going to do well long term. We don't want to bring someone that's going to come and close and constantly just have more turnover. So when we're reaching out to these retailers, we send all of the data that we put together. We really make, we make the argument about why your community and your market is their next location and needs to be on their location plan for 2023 or end of, fourth quarter 2022 or even 2024, if that's how far they're looking. But as we have those conversations, you can see we start to track by retailer what their interest is and what their feedback is. And so we're going to put in there, if we get a no from Ace Hardware, for example, we're going to tell you why they said no and why not. And then that tells us who we need. If Ace Hardware is a hard no right now, then we're going to pivot and we're going to go after another maybe tool retailer type retailer that we know your market needs, but maybe we could go to next. So you can constantly see those updates. We have regular meetings with you, but this is where you can go back and say, hey, we've got a council meeting tonight. Let me see where the retail coach was last. I mentioned to the mayor that I really wanted an Arby's. Did they ever reach out to them? And then you see that Arby's has been reached out to, and so on and so forth. So it's a starting point of conversation for us to have those updates, but also just an accountability checks and balances as we move forward with the retailers.
So, one of the things that I'd looked at before the call was, your base of retailers that you have now. And I believe all of them are located 20 miles south of you in Santa Fe. So what we would do first off, from the standpoint of identifying targets, is we would go look at the retailers, look at franchises that are in Santa Fe, in that market, and see if they would duplicate in your community. So that's how we would come up with a list that we would recruit. And we come to you for your approval before we do any recruitment. We want to make sure that what we're doing is in the same vision that you have for the community. But I quickly look, Baskin Robbins, Firehouse Subs, Five Below, Big Lots, Buffalo Wild Wings, they have a 1,200 square foot prototype that they're doing in communities just like yours. So there's a number of different prospects that we could find that we feel like would be a good match for your community. And then it's going out and contacting. And this is what Caroline excels at. She has a great network of site selectors that work for these national brands that she contacts many different ways.
We do. And for the sake of brevity, I'll try to keep it short. I'm not good at keeping things short, but we contact them every way that you are supposed to contact people today. I often tell people, please don't leave me a voicemail. My voicemail is often full. If I see a missed call, I'll call you back. If you need to tell me something, shoot me a text. We kind of, just through relationships, we get to know the way that these retailers work. And so some retailers want us to start with their broker, send a site to their broker. If their broker approves it, then the retailer will look at it from the corporate side. Some retailers want to approve it corporately and then tell their broker, hey, we like the market. Work with them to find a site, please. Some retailers want me just to shoot them a text and say, hey, when are you going to New Mexico again? I'd really like to put this on your site visit tour. When you go, I'm going to shoot you some sites. I want you to look at them. No pressure. Let me know what you think. So we stay in touch with them regularly, email, text, phone call, you name it. I've even been known to Facebook message somebody if I couldn't get in touch with them or couldn't get a response, LinkedIn messages. But also we do a lot of conferences, and we do those conferences, especially now, thankfully, that everything is opened back up again for the most part post-COVID. We do conferences face-to-face, and we are able to get your data in front of them face-to-face and tell them why your market is a market that they need to consider. And then we follow up on that conversation with emails and more information. But we get so much we get so much feedback out of these trade shows, and we're able to just put a face with a name. So we are the face. If somebody from your community isn't able to be there, we are your face to that retailer. So if we really want to work on getting a PetSmart or a Boot Barn or a Smith's Marketplace or whatever it is, then we're going to go be the face of your community, pushing to make sure that you're on the top of their growth plan.
Yeah, we go to a number of these a year, and this is just a graphic of one, I believe that was in Las Vegas in last December. And here's one that is actually coming up, I guess, in just a couple of weeks. It's called Retail Live. These are the participants that are going to be in Austin, Texas on the 21st. So we're going to be there. We're going to be there with clients. And also those clients that aren't there, we're going to be there representing them. And really a great opportunity to get you and your information in front of these retailers. The key is getting on the radar screen. We're working in Sweetwater, which is a West Texas community. And I know Caroline had a couple of retailers that had put Sweetwater on their site visit list. They were taking a swing through West Texas, and they were going to go through Sweetwater and look at sites that we presented them. So it's a process. And, you know, we've sort of hit the high points of it. You know, we all the data that we come up with, we put it on a dashboard that's going to be on your website. It's sort of a one-stop shop that has all of our reports that we do, all of the sites that we come up with. So a retailer, restaurant, developer who's in an airport wanting to look at information on Espanola can go to your website and find everything that they need in order to make a decision if they need to get out there or not. And again, I mentioned early on, one of the separators with us is our coaching. You know, you have access to us 24 hours a day, and our clients love it and they take advantage of it. And that's really how we can help you the most, is when you work the closest with us. And again, the retail coach was not the first name of the company. It was another name. But one of our clients said, what I really like about you guys is you coach us through the process. So that's really what we have built our brand on, and we're going to continue to build it on, is that one-on-one service that we feel like you need in order to be successful. So I know that was quick. I think you probably have our proposal that lists much more comprehensively, you know, our approach. But I don't know, Mayor, if we have time, but I would love to field questions now, or you can contact me by text or by cell phone.
What's the pleasure of the council?
I have a question, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
First, Kelly, thank you both for your presentation and for all the intel that you've collected to create the presentation. I'm curious about how the city of Espanola differs from other communities that you've helped in regard to traffic and the data that you've collected.
Yeah, well, you know, it's from the standpoint, let's just start with the trade area. It's not unique for a community that's faced with the topography and sort of you being in a valley. We've worked in a lot of markets. That, you know, in looking at Santa Fe to the south and looking at Espanola and really nothing to the north. I mean, you know, anybody that wants to from 40 plus miles south, they've got to shop in your community. And that's going to be our sales pitch, is that, look, you located in Espanola, you've got, and again, it may not be in super dense population, but you've got a population market of, you know, 70 plus thousand that has got to come by you in order to get to Albuquerque, get to Santa Fe, and you've got the first shot at them. So some of the, you know, you're not a large community, roughly 10,000 people. You're not large, but for the size of your community, you've got a lot of large retailers represented there, which tells me you've got a large trade area. So from that standpoint, you somewhat have a captive consumer market that has to funnel down to you. And I will mention something on 285. I think there's opportunity there. You've got municipal offices, you got the hospital that Caroline mentioned, and the college. But, you know, you've got to be able to convince them that if they were to look at a site there, that they're not going to fully cannibalize their Riverside location. Or what we've got to do is contact sort of first to the market types of restaurants that we feel like would locate there because it's somewhat of a wide open market.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Justin Santos.
Thank you. How are these businesses marketing recruitment for employees? Because it's always nice and dandy to bring in, you know, for example, you did say if there's a Chili's, there's an Applebee's, et cetera. But, you know, I know Chili's here, for example, is desperately trying to seek employees. How are they marketing employment opportunities?
And
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were in May, at the end of May, we were in Las Vegas for the large shopping center show, and what were there, 30,000 people there? And my takeaway from that show was the retailers, restaurants, and developers were very bullish on what's going to happen the remainder of 2022 and going into 2023. And I would ask them, look, inflation is through the ceiling, the job market stinks. How can you be so bullish? And, you know, they were saying they've got a lot of pent up cash that they want to invest. And, you know, I don't have an answer for you. I know in my market, it's, you know, it's starting to stabilize a little bit, but we still have restaurants that have closed that have not reopened. We had a Sonic across from our mall that closed. I mean, why in the heck do you close a Sonic? You know, but the labor market is very key to them, and you know, they will absolutely look closely at it. I have not seen where it has been an obstacle for them expanding to a market. Caroline, do you have a thought on that?
I got that response from a retailer once in the past year. And that was recently, but it was with a more regional local grocery store. And a lot of times for smaller markets, we are looking for those regional, more local grocers, because we realize that you've already got Walmart Supercenter. You've already got Center Market. I think, what was the other one? Food Giant or something. But anyway, if we were to look at another grocery store, we're not going to be able to bring in a big national brand name because the market's cannibalized somewhat. But there is maybe an opportunity to bring in a smaller, more local grocer, right? If that were the need. However, I did get that feedback recently from a smaller, more local grocer in a very small market in a different state. And they said, you know, we're super interested in that community, but right now we realize that there's a labor shortage. And do you guys have any way to help us with that labor shortage? Interestingly, since you guys have the college, there are some programs and things where we could even try to, you know, combine with them and say, hey, can we offer some workshops and things to let people nearby know about what's going on. But yeah, I've only gotten that response from a retailer once in the last 12 months, but that is the response that we passed along to you guys. And then we pivot who we're going after based on that.
But it's absolutely a real issue. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. We're probably working in 15 to 20 states right now. And, mm-hmm. and I would beg to say that housing shortage and labor shortage is two of the key economic development roadblocks right now.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you. What is your success rate as far as how many businesses in some of the cities that you work with are opening up either annually or biannually?
Yeah, that's a good question. Much of it, and Caroline, you can chime in on this as well. Much of it depends on the community. You know, just like your sites on Riverside, you know, from my standpoint, looking at them, they are highly marketable. You know, are they for sale at a market price? Those type things. So many things come into play when you're trying to gauge what your productivity will be from the standpoint of opening stores. But I will say this, we have actually turned down projects where we didn't think we were going to be successful. And we would want to go in feeling like we were going to be successful here before we engaged with you. You know, I do think what will be key to your market will be Aaron's relationship with a lot of developers that are in New Mexico and in West Texas, because that's going to be key, is providing the buildings for some of these retailers and restaurants to occupy.
Yeah, and on that note, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to look at my notes for a second here. And I may be getting some of these mixed up, but I mentioned Smith's Marketplace a few minutes ago because we helped with the analysis to get a Smith's Marketplace, Los Alamos recently, and then in Hobbs. Dunkin' used to be called Dunkin' Donuts. Now they only want to be called Dunkin'. We helped them with Dunkin', Ross Dress for Less, Boot Barn, and PetSmart. And then recently working in Lovington, we have seen Burke's Outlet put in a contract and I believe open. So we have these relationships with these retailers, not just in New Mexico, but those are some New Mexico wins. Texas, Arizona, Colorado. We have a lot of relationships in Colorado right now that I would love. I mean, since you guys are close, just to be able to say, hey, if you're there, can you drive through also? So yeah, it's hard to gauge a success rate based on all the different variables, but we're very honest with you about what the no's are. And I'm here to tell you, I do not like getting no's from retailers, and I'm a hard person to take a no from. And so we look at communities, and we really don't work with communities that we don't think that we could be successful in, because it's not fair to the retailers that we work with for us to present it to them and act like we have any authority and then put our name at risk also. So,
and you know, in the bottom line, you know, we're in our 23rd year, and we would, if we were able to work with you, we want to be able to tell the next community to give you guys a call and say, hey, you know, this is what the retail coach did for you. So, you know, and again, I guess from a general comment, the lowest hanging fruit in most communities we work in are eating establishments. You know, that they are expanding in every market that we're working in. And I would say from the standpoint of success, and if you wanted to gauge success by a quick serve restaurant or two or whatever, I feel pretty confident that that we would get the attention of a number of them for your market.
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue.
Yes, thank you. Can you give me an idea of what kind of a timeline we'd be looking at to begin to see retail improvement within the community?
Yeah, it's a good question. What we typically do is, when we're engaged, is for 12 months. And we really start out with the data aspect of it immediately. In fact, I've already done much of it just in preparing for this call. And we start presenting you to the retailers that we have relationships with, even if it's in Austin. If we feel like we're going to be working with you, then we would try to come up with a retail market profile that we would use for our meetings in Austin on the 21st. So we start the recruitment process early as we can. And again, we do the data, and then we confirm all of the sites, and then that's when the recruitment starts. And we would be in your market probably within the next 3 weeks to start doing our sort of boots on the ground work, where we meet with a lot of the leadership of the community. Very well could be you or whoever you would specify, but we want to nail down our work in the market to where we can go out and sell you in the best light. And we can confirm that these sites are still available and start collecting information on what they're looking for from the standpoint of a sales price, so we can start preparing those sites to market to developers.
Does anyone have any other additional questions for Kelly, Councilor Justice on the floor?
I think not for Kelly.
Well, let's conclude with that, and then we're going to turn it back over to Mr. Jordan. Unless it's a question for Kelly, because I think they're already going at like 10 o'clock at night.
That's fine.
Any other questions for the retail coach? Okay, thank you, Kelly, for joining us this evening.
Caroline, thank you for helping and.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We do appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Can I entertain a motion?